In this video, we will continue on cash management core configuration for Sage Intacct, and we're going to discuss the initial credit card setup and configuration inside cash management. This will be very similar to the checking account setup that you saw in the previous video, but it does have its own section. So let's take a look. Now you will discuss further as far as top level or entity level for where you set up your bank account in your discovery sections, but in most cases it will probably be at top level. For this demonstration, I'm going to actually show you setting it up at top level. So I'm going to come into applications and I'm going to go to cash management. And in here, you'll see you have under setup, you have the ability to set up your checking accounts, your savings accounts, which you saw in the previous videos, but you also have a separate section for credit card. So let's go in there and take a look and see what we have in there. So I'm going to click on the credit card link. If you just want to set up one from scratch, you can just hit the plus button as well. But I'm going to go in and see what's in there already. And you can see here, I have a list of some credit cards already set up that came with this demo database. So let's go in and take a look at the Bank of USA Visa that's already set up. So in your case, if you're setting up one from scratch, you would just come over to here and click add, and that it will come up to, blank screen where you can fill in a bank ID, description, and all of the information in here as well. We're going to go take a look at one that's already set up. And so let's go into Bank of USA Visa and let's go to edit. So inside here, you'll see they gave it an ID of Bank of USA Visa. Be particular about your IDs. Once you set them up and you save, if you need to change that, you're going to need to delete this credit card setup and create a new one. Okay. So you're going to want to give it an ID. A lot of times, if you have multiple entities and things like that, it's recommended to put the entity in front or something that kind of keeps it organized in a list, especially if you're setting up at top level. But what you'll notice is there is a type, and you're going to get a drop-down list of different types of credit cards. And I'm going to go ahead and let's do this. Let's say duplicate. Let's say we have one that's very similar to it. So I'm going to hit duplicate. And now you'll see I just wanted to show you the drop-down list. So I would give it a new ID. But you can see in the type here, it's a required field. So you're going to need to kind of list out what type of credit card it is. And, if it's a miscellaneous card or a different one than one of these on the list here, you can just say other credit card. Account type, you can set up a credit or debit account here. So if you say debit account, the system will then allow you to tie it to your actual checking account that you set up in the prior video. So you can do that as well. And you can do a bank rec just for your debit account. I'm going to say credit here. And you can fill the information on the credit card if you'd like. It's not mandatory. And we're going to skip the applied rule set for now. We're going to get into it in the next set of videos on matching rules and bank feeds. But this is something that'll be required if you do want to use automatic bank matching and automatic bank transaction created. Expiration date. This is probably one of the most critical fields in this setup, in that you do not want to use the actual expiration year unless you're really keeping up on it. The problem is if you use that year and you're doing bank feeds or you're importing transactions, the system will not let you create transactions if the year has already been passed. So what we usually recommend is just set this up far into the future so that you don't have to worry about it for a while. So that's kind of what we usually recommend people do in that scenario. Now, along with the applied rule set, there's also what's called a matching sequence, which is where you have to number internally how the system matches it so you can track it. One thing that is critical and is required is the credit card offset account. So every unique credit card account needs its own general ledger account. So just like the cash accounts needed their own GL account for each bank ID, for each credit card ID, you need a unique general ledger number. You can see in this case, it's going to 20501 credit card payable -USAB Visa. So if you don't have that account right now on your list, you can add it on the fly from here, or you can go over to General Ledger Chart of Accounts and get that added. But you will be required to link to one when you set this up initially. You'll be able to edit it up into the point when you start getting transactions on it. Once there's a transaction on that account, it's kind of locked in. Okay. Then it's going to ask you for some defaults. So, basically typically most people will just default to the cash disbursements journal that's already in General Ledger. You can elect to set up your own journal for credit card transactions if you want to set one up and link it here, but most people just go to the cash disbursements journal. And then you will have the ability to enter in finance charges and bank charges and other fees in this credit card, just like you did in the checking settings. So this is going to link to those expense accounts in your General Ledger account. Okay. So you're going to want to fill some type of expense account out here as well. You can code it to a default department, not mandatory. What is mandatory is this credit card does need to be assigned to an entity. So you'll see in here, I have to pick a location. So even though I'm at top level, I have to pick one of these locations. So let's say it's for Timberline GC. And you have to establish a vendor. There's going to be the option, and we'll talk about it briefly. If you're using the credit card process and cash management, there's going to be the ability to do a charge payoff, which means once we reconcile all the charges on the statement, the system can actually generate an AP bill automatically from here to this vendor. So you need to establish a vendor ID for each credit card payable. Okay, this would be the credit card that you get the bill in. So a lot of times companies have corporate credit cards and they have one for each employee, but they're only getting one bill. This credit card needs to be set up at that level, at the top level. You're not going to set this up individually here for each employee. You're going to set it up for the level that you're getting billed at. So in this case, one vendor for Bank of USA Visa. If you don't have that vendor set up, you can set it up on the fly here. But again, you're not going to be able to save until every field that has an asterisk on it is filled out. Okay. One option you'll have, and you'll get into it in the time and expense module, is you do have the ability to use this in conjunction with employee expenses. So for example, like the corporate credit cards, if you have employees entering expense receipts inside Intacct in the expense module, you're going to have the ability to say, make this credit card enabled for employee expenses. That means when they put the expenses in, they're going to be able to pull up a list of transactions that are out there that have already come into the system. So this would require you to use bank feeds, which you'll be able to find on Ask Richard. And you're going to configure that later on closer to go live, but this would require bank feeds turned on as well. And, for more information on this configuration, like I said, there is expense videos and Ask Richard. Reach out to us on a Q&A as well. We can help you enable this and deploy this as well. But for now, I'm going to leave this off. But if we do enable it, it's going to want an expenses clearing account. I would just leave it off for now. You can always turn this piece on at a later time. So that's the setup screen basically for credit cards. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not going to hit save on this one because I don't have an ID and I don't have a separate GL account. So I'm just going to hit cancel. And what it will look like once you save is you'll see it look like this in the system here. Okay. Now, I mentioned bank feeds. If you have bank feeds enabled, which is going to be done in your subscriptions, you'll see a banking cloud tab here. And we're not going to get into this configuration now. You do not want to connect to your bank yet at this time. You want to wait till you're closer to go live. And you also want to make sure you watch the videos and Ask Richard on setting up bank feeds and parameters for that. There is no guarantee that your credit card bank nor your checking account bank will work in the bank feeds. It is very subjective per bank account. It's a trial and error thing. You have to connect, log in, make sure you can connect. It depends on the bank. It depends on the type of account. But in most cases, not 100% of the banks are gonna connect in. So just keep that in mind. And you can also look at the help on this right now. So we're not going to do that now. We just want to get our credit card account set up initially. This is going to allow you to put in some payments against vendors and accounts payable that you want to pay via credit card. It's going to allow you to get to the next configuration steps in training and workflow for cash management. And that's pretty much all there is to it for credit cards. It's very straightforward and simple. You'll click save, and now it'll show up on your list. And like I said, there is a process where you can create credit card transactions and do charge payoffs. And this charge payoff will turn it into an AP bill. And we will get into that in more detail in the workflow training for cash management.